What if India's biggest economic problem isn't talent, but its tax system? Because a complex GST structure might be quietly killing innovation, productivity, and global competitiveness.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive into some really provocative ideas from economist Ajay Shah. He's basically asking, what if a radical overhaul of India's tax system is the key to unlocking its future in technology and, well, everything else?
So Ajay Shah kicks things off with this incredibly powerful question, and it really sets the stage for this whole discussion. He argues the problem isn't a lack of talent, not at all. The problem is the incentive structure of the Indian state. A system that sometimes breeds fear and caution when what you really need is creativity and ambition.
And Shah says a huge part of this problem lies in a place you might not expect, the goods and services tax, or GST. But here's the twist. He was actually one of its original architects. I mean, wow, that is a powerful statement, isn't it? He believes the system we have today has become the exact opposite of what it was supposed to be. It's undermining the very principles he helped put into place. And you can really see the difference here on this slide. The promise was all about simplicity and efficiency, but the reality, according to Shah, is this tangled maze of different tax rates, these GST blockages where tax credits just get stuck, and these never-ending fights over how to classify a product. And look, these complexities, they aren't just minor headaches. They lead to some truly absurd situations that pull a company's focus away from what it should be doing, like innovating, and force it into these battles over basic compliance. This example just illustrates the whole problem perfectly, doesn't it? This kind of ambiguity creates what Shah calls a private versus government warfare, where companies are constantly fighting the system instead of just working within it. And you can imagine that is just a huge drag on the entire economy. So, okay, if the current system is this tangled mess, what's Shah's solution to cut through all of it? Well, it's actually beautifully simple. Just one number, 10%. A single, flat 10% GST on absolutely everything. His dream is to apply that one rate to all goods and all services. It doesn't matter if it's the wheat you buy or the cell phone you use. No exceptions, no special categories, just one rate. Now, this one single change would have a massive ripple effect. It would instantly end all those arguments about whether something was cooked in ghee or palm oil. It would completely remove the reason for companies to lobby politicians for a lower tax rate. And maybe most importantly, it would free up what Shah calls the mental bandwidth of entrepreneurs, letting them focus on what actually matters.
Because when you change the tax structure, you fundamentally change where a company's energy and resources actually go.
Think about it. Right now, Shah argues the system rewards all the wrong things. The company that wins isn't always the most innovative or the most customer-focused. A lot of the time, it's the one that's best at managing government relationships and navigating this really complex and often adversarial bureaucracy. But what if all that energy, all that brain power that's being spent on just managing the state was instead focused on customers, on technology, on productivity? This is the massive opportunity that Shah believes India is just leaving on the table right now. And this need for focus, it's becoming more urgent than ever, because India is now facing a brand new global challenge that's going to test its economic agility like nothing before. Shah poses this critical question about India's massive services export industry. I mean, with the rise of AI, you have to admit the stakes could not be higher. So let's put a number on that success story. $400 billion. That's the annual revenue from India's service exports. Shah calls it the single magic of India, the cash flow that's kept the economy afloat and really set it apart from its neighbors. So yeah, any threat to this is a huge threat to the Indian growth story. So what does the rise of AI really mean for India's service exports? Is it a threat or is it an opportunity? Well, Shah is actually cautiously optimistic. He sees AI not as a replacement for human ingenuity, but as a tool to automate what he calls, and I love this phrase, bullshit jobs. All that mechanical, repetitive work, freeing up people to focus on creativity and real problem solving. And his optimism is really grounded in reality. He points out that technologies like the spreadsheet, which are decades old, still haven't been fully adopted everywhere. The real-world process of organizational change is slow, and that gives India time to adapt, to lean into human strengths like creativity, deep relationships, and intellectual power, all things he believes AI will never truly replace. So how do we connect all these dots? How do we get from a complex tax system here at home to the artificial intelligence revolution that's happening all over the globe? Well, Shah's core argument is pretty simple when you get right down to it. You just can't expect your companies to be agile, innovative, and competitive enough to win in the age of AI if they are constantly being bogged down by all this friction at home. Removing obstacles like a complicated GST is absolutely essential for Indian firms to have the focus they need to compete in a world that's being totally reshaped by technology. And that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. What if the biggest obstacle to India's technological future isn't a lack of innovation, and it's not a shortage of talent, but it's a system that still rewards navigating bureaucracy over actually building the next big thing?
Rethink the system. Follow for economic insights, policy breakdowns, and future of AI and business trends.